This is the Symphonic Band. That was standard American music fare.
Solo cambiando
That was
instrumento.
one of the great march people, Carl King. Of course, the other one was John Philip Sousa. We were talking to the kids about the other day. I actually worked with a guy who, when he was a kid, would go into Coney Island, and there was John Philip Sousa's band right there as you entered Coney Island. And so every band that played lots of Sousa marches, and every town had its own band, and every town had like a gazebo, and you can still travel through the Midwest and travel through towns, and there's a square, and in the square there's a gazebo, and that gazebo is there for bands. This is a concert band, and they're not fading away. Every school has 1, 2, 3, or 4. And just some producer hasn't figured out how to make a lot of money, so you don't actually see them on TV. But we know how real TV is, don't we? Yeah. So TV is reality, not. So that was the great Carl King, and that was a piece called Valley Forge. This next piece, we haven't quite studied enough yet, but we're going to go ahead and perform it tonight. But it's a study in opera. Freddie Mercury actually was born in Sri Lanka. He grew up on Madagascar or someplace like strange place like that, and then when they had some political upheaval, his parents moved to London, and luckily he went to the School of the Arts in London, England, and changed his name, and I can't even pronounce his real name, and became Freddie Mercury. And I told the kids, really what Freddie wanted to do was sing opera. Just didn't have the pipes for it, so he sang pop music, and he was really into opera. His biggest hit in the United States is, of course, this next piece, Bohemian Rhapsody. His biggest hit in Europe was called Barcelona, that he performed with the great Spanish coloratura soprano Montserrat Collier. So we haven't watched the video yet, but we're going to watch it tomorrow in band. We're going to see Freddie actually trying to do some opera with a tuxedo and with a Spanish soprano. So this piece is a little bit of a parody of opera, and you'll hear the different changes in style. But the kids love the piece, Freddie Mercury's Bohemian Rhapsody. first beginning piece when you first learn to dance. And of course, I am a big fan of that, and went to see Lord of the Dance many, many times. And actually, the story behind it, of the reason that the dancers let their hands hang totally motionless and do everything with their feet, is because they didn't want the British people walking past and watch the English and see people dancing, because that was outlawed. And so they danced, but they did it all with their feet, and they kept their hands down there. So there's none of this Hawaiian hula thing or any ballet. They just let their hands hang to the side, because that way, if somebody went by, you wouldn't see him, and they wouldn't know that they were dancing. How many people do that? Come on. See the absolutely useless facts that you get when you come to a dance concert. Amazing. So anyway, this next piece is a great piece of music by Douglas Cork, and it is the Irish clogging tune, and so he called it Celtic Dance. Now for you Bostonians, okay. So this is written by Douglas Cork, and he called it Celtic Dance. architectural auditoriums in the world. Disney company built for the Los Angeles Philharmonic. It is one of the most beautiful places that you've ever seen, and acoustically, it is a marvel. And you know, you could go down and you could hear people that play that sort of music live. Live. They have a great conductor that came from Venezuela. There was a program, a youth program, and the New York Philharmonic got involved, where they were going down and taking kids that were basically the poorest of the poor of the poor. They were dirt poor. And they called it a sistema, the system of teaching the poorest of the poor to play orchestral instruments. And their conductor, one of their best conductors, was a guy named Dudamel. And he, of course, now is the conductor of the Los Angeles Philharmonic. But what they're showing now is now these kids are starting to appear in orchestras around the world. Now, let me tell you about orchestra. You think that somebody's a tough job to get a quarterback position in the NFL? It's nothing. Nothing compared to getting a position in a major orchestra. Those people get those positions and they keep them for 35, 40, 45 years. The bass trombone opening came up in San Francisco, and there were thousands of applicants who were qualified. They had to bump it down to 50 if they said, okay, send us a DVD or send us a CD, and they got that down to 25, and then that game got down to 12, and then they got down just to pick one person, and that one person is probably going to keep that job for the next 50 years. It is the most amazing thing, and of course, do you know it? Well, it's not on TV, I don't know. They never said nothing on TV about it, so I don't know. Several years ago, now let me tell you about orchestra auditions, first of all. They have a screen that you cannot see the person who is auditioning.